Oh my gosh, it's a scary day. So let's talk about some scary stuff today.
You know, the scariest thing happening here on this Halloween time is cold as hell.
Yeah, we're in Florida, so cold means like 68.
Yeah, I think it was in
Actually,
the 50s this morning.
it felt
Oh,
great. Oh my gosh, I was in a hoodie this morning
mm,
doing the workout. I was
mm.
like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm not originally from Florida. I came from a cold weather state, but I'm not built for this anymore. I mean, this is just not, yeah, I'm not
Well,
built for this.
well, the saying and the joke is always, well, my blood thinned out.
Mm.
Yep.
I don't know if my blood thinned out. I can't take, I came from Chicago. I've had enough cold weather to last 7 lifetimes, so I'm not doing it anymore.
Yep. That too lived up where it was cold for a period of time. And it's like anything else, you adapt to it and you kind of get
Mhm.
used to it. Not that you necessarily enjoy it, but it just becomes the routine. But now, being in Florida, like like why would I want to subject myself to that?
All right. Yeah, we don't want to do this. This is not we this is not what we signed up for anymore.
Like when
But
we get into the 40s and 50s for, a couple days here and there, it's doable, even
mhm.
sometimes if it drops down below that, we're like, ooh, okay, I'm just gonna stay inside. But when you're up there up north and it's just cold for months on end, cold like to your bones, you can
Right.
warm up with a shower and, nice hot chocolate, but I mean, you just feel cold, like you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
can't get warm for months.
Yeah. Your hands and feet are cold for 2 months.
Yeah.
And the other big difference is, and I was acutely aware of this, I have some mild seasonal affective disorder where, and coming from Chicago, you don't see the sun for 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it wears on you for sure. Now
Yep.
I moved to Florida, and if we don't see the sun for 2 days, we're all like
Oh,
homicidal down here.
right. Yeah.
The
And
sun is life. So,
some people have it pretty bad. Some people even down here in Florida during the winter time where you can't be outside as much. I mean, like
mhm,
because if they do water sports, surfing and boating
mhm,
and fishing and all that, and it's just kind of too cold to really be out there,
mhm.
they get tremendously like down.
I remember every year, usually in February, when I just couldn't take the weather anymore, we would plan a weekend and we would pull the curtains and crank the heat up to like 80 degrees, and we'd make hot dogs and drink margaritas and play Jimmy Buffett and
Yeah.
pretend wear shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops and just pretend like it was the middle of summer.
Hmm.
And then I looked forward to that weekend. We did it every year. It made me feel better.
Yeah.
Made me escape into like the summer mode.
Hmm.
And then the gas bill would come the next month, and I would regret it
Scary.
tremendously. But
Yeah. Well, we adapt. We are adaptable. So you figure out ways to get through it. I mean, people who live in those colder countries,
mhm,
where it's really cold,
mhm.
they have to find a way to get through it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we got Alaska, and they have some light issues where the sun doesn't come out, and
Yeah.
it definitely affects people. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
So it can be scary. Well, let's talk about the topic of the week.
dun 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 dun.
Something scary that we've been experiencing for a little bit,
I,
and other
yeah,
men in particular have experiencing it. So I'll let you kind of set it up.
all right. Well, we were talking this morning. I've talked with several people this week, men in particular, but this is for anyone. It's that whole getting older thing and the changes that we go through as humans, in this topic, maybe men, but everybody, into those 40s and 50s, and the things the changes that happen to us. And we go through this whole metamorphosis sees, and there's some common themes that come along with that whole
Hmm.
getting older thing. So,
Yeah.
and people really struggle. I talked to two gentlemen in the last week that were significantly impacted through this life transition.
Hmm. How does like 25 to 45 go by so fast?
Remember, 25, like the world is your oyster and you can do anything, right?
Right.
The whole world was wide open to you. You could set up for any career, you could go to school to study anything. You know, the world was your oyster.
Yeah.
And then click, that's gone.
They were right. Because I hitting the fast forward on that to
Right.
fast forward through the commercials.
Right. Well, I mean, those are your busy years. You're studying, you're getting, whatever training it is that you need to do your job. You're, developing your career, spending a lot of time trying to advance in your career or do things well and,
Yeah.
learn your skills. You're starting a family, maybe,
Mhm.
marriage and kids. You're just trying to set up for the future. You're trying to think about retire, setting up retirement accounts, and then the kids come and there's no sleep and there's dirty diapers and it's just, and then it's all those milestones and sports and activities and,
Right.
and then the next thing you know, you wake up and and you don't sleep. Sleep
Yeah.
is, and then you wake up and the kids left for college or they left to the military or they're on their own, they moved out. And then
Hmm.
you're standing around at 45 to 55 going, what the hell just happened?
Right. And that we're in that stage of development where you've really come into your own power and things are beginning to slow down where you may not be, I mean, of course you can be highly impactful and influential. And I think this is our time to really shine
Hmm.
because we've had all this experience leading up till then. But you
Hmm.
start to notice a decline in your effectiveness because the people who are 20 to 35 out there, they're hard chargers, they're getting it, and then we're starting that slow down
Hmm.
phase, and that is when a lot of people have a very difficult time. We've talked about
Hmm.
the midlife crisis before, where people have to reinvent themselves and decide who they want to be, and they feel like they're on the back nine, and maybe in some regards they are. And so now
Hmm.
they want to do all those things that they didn't get to do because they were so busy with work, family, and just life. And so it's really good, but it can also be really challenging, as we've seen in trying to help clients. And then, of course, that reflection on our own lives, of
Hmm.
dealing with, hey, we're slowing down. We don't recover as well, like physically, you have a really rough workout, and then it takes like a couple of weeks to finally feel
Right.
good again, where you used to just get like a good 12-hour sleep and then you'd wake up and it was like hitting the reset button. We don't
Yeah.
have the reset button anymore.
Well, I think most people start to feel, or some people, whatever, one of the big changes is your body, right? Your body changes when you hit this age. And, for me, I had 20/20 vision my whole life. And then it was like the day after my 40th birthday, I couldn't see all of a sudden.
I know.
Like my vision started to go. And, now I'm 55 and I suffer from CSS. I can't see shit. I mean,
Yeah,
I have readers in like every room of the house, and
yeah,
it's so
yeah, yeah,
frustrating. I
they
know
are.
right here, I know, and I got another pair over there, and
Uh,
you can, and for somebody that never relied on glasses, it's the most frustrating thing. It's like, why
it's so
can't I
strange.
just see? Yeah, you tried to read the instructions on something, or you're trying to, yeah,
Oh my God, right? I think that was a really frustrating thing for me, not being able to see, because we talked about how we are avid readers,
yeah,
and when I was trying to read and it was like a real struggle,
yeah,
I was like, I've had perfect vision my entire life, never had
mhm,
an issue. Perfect hearing my entire life,
mhm,
never had an issue. All of a sudden, can't really hear out of this ear that well,
right,
and I can't see that well. And yeah, just reading something that I would normally just glance at, like a recipe that's not even in small print. And I'm like, that shit's blurry, man.
right,
So
I
yeah,
know.
I have like 12 of these in all
Mhm,
different places,
mhm. And they're never exactly where you think they're going to be. So you just want to read this little thing and you spend 10 minutes looking for some dang readers. But yeah. So the hearing and the vision goes, and then
Yeah.
it's like, your body, it changes. Now, you and I work out pretty consistently, and mostly I work out to keep my body more in tone, so I'm more resilient to injuries, right?
Yeah.
So I don't get a lot of injuries. But when you get this age, if you sleep wrong, your back hurts for a week, and you're like,
Yeah.
because
Right.
I slept, because I rolled over, too
Yep.
aggressively at 3 in the morning. It's like,
Yep.
are you kidding me? Or I bent over and pulled that sock out of the back of the dryer, and now I'm in traction for a month.
That sock got me too, man.
I know.
That damn
Uh,
sock. Just leave it. Just leave it be.
no.
Buy more.
Yeah. I think everyone has the sock in the dryer injury because everyone I talk to is like, man, that happened to me too. And it
Yep.
happened to me as I was pulling my laundry out to pack for Vegas, a Vegas trip once. So then I'm walking around Vegas for the long weekend, like limping around because my back hurts.
Right.
Not because I was, powerlifting or, because I did the Ironman marathon. It was because, that dang sock was in the back of the dryer.
Right.
So, and your body, what else? I mean, the other thing
Well,
changes, with your body is just you don't snap back as much as quickly as you did anymore. Any
right.
injury takes a little bit longer. And you and I have talked, we were doing some pretty heavy lifting. We were pushing it, and we were trying to set PRs consistently. And
Yep.
I get to the point, and I told you I got to the point with like deadlifts, like, man, if I hurt my back, I'm done.
Right. Right. So, I'm 47 this year. I don't care anymore. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to lift and feel good. And, I'm going to push things a little bit, but I mean, not even close to what we were trying to or attempting to do. I just want to be able to maintain it and feel good and feel strong, feel
Yeah.
virile, because that's another thing that starts to kind of subside as our like
Hmm.
that being, um, like feeling that confidence and that strength and that that male like assertiveness that's kind of declining a little bit. We don't feel as
Hmm.
virile as we once did in a whole host of different
Right.
regards. And so that sucks, because remember when you're like 30, I mean, like
Hmm. Well, I
you
mean,
could do anything you wanted to,
right,
pretty much.
exactly. I
Mhm.
mean, and sex changes for sure. I mean, your testosterone levels start to decline as you get older,
Yeah.
and I was just speaking for myself. The whole definition of sex changes, right? When you're younger, you'd have sex, most of the night, get a couple hours sleep, and you were good to go. Well,
Right.
that's not happening anymore, right? It's really quality over quantity.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
It's like, well, let's do this. I got to get some sleep.
Right? Like, what's the point of like just hours and hours of, fun and frivolity where you're like, well, I want to watch the last couple episodes of that season we start,
Right.
like,
Let's race to the finish.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and that changes. And, it becomes more about, I mean, when you're younger, it's all about like quantity and, all kinds of that. But, as you get older, you really start to appreciate, the little nuances and
Right.
the closeness and,
Mhm.
the other aspects that go along with that for sure.
Absolutely. So things change, and I think that's an important point, is for us to just embrace these changes, to lean into it, to do the best that we can, and
Mhm.
reframe the positives. Focus on the
Mhm.
things that are really good. The fact that we can have, when it comes to intimacy, that closeness and that quality time together.
Mhm.
Um, on all different levels. That's such a beautiful thing, instead of just the, crazed, like insanity, and
Mhm.
it still can be very loving, very passionate. Just it's just different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
And having to accept that, because it's a reflection on, well, everything turns into a reflection of, I'm just getting older, and people don't want to accept that, so they
Yeah.
try to hang on to the things that they remember as a
Right.
kid. I've had several conversations with people about that whole empty nest syndrome. Like,
Uh-huh.
I had kids and spent all my time doing the kids stuff and this and that, and then now they're gone, and it's like I don't know what my purpose is anymore.
Right.
Um, what do I
So you
do with all
redefine
my
it. You
yeah?
redefine it, Brett.
So what do I do with all my free time? I used to spend, my time at soccer games and doing this and blah 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 blah. I mean, I went through the same thing. My kids are now 26 and 22, and definitely went through that empty nest. And you really have to redefine yourself. Like, what is the second? We call it dealing with mortality, and a lot of it happens. When we talk about bodies, a lot of us guys have had a medical scare sometime
Hmm.
between
Right.
40 and 50. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
And, they say, what is it, 35% of post interventional cardiac patients will have a major depressive episode.
Hmm.
And really, what that boils down to is they're dealing with mortality. Like, who am I? Well, I have less years in front of me than I do behind me.
Right.
Um, did I do what I wanted to accomplish in my life? Am I leaving a legacy? I set all these goals when I was 25. Did I accomplish them? If not, why not? And then what does the next 25 years look like?
Right. Right. So we end up staring into the abyss of existential dread, and
Right.
then we have to decide what's your next chapters going to be? How are you going to write that? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a time, I talk with people, it's a time to rediscover you. As men, we put our lives on hold for a while to really do things for other people, for our employers, for our families, for, not only our families as far as our kids, but, as our parents get older, that, we're trying to take care of them and, do things around them. And some of us have experienced their passings already. Mine's
Yeah.
been gone for a while, so you have those generations. And let me tell you, there's never quite a feeling like when both your parents have passed.
Yeah.
It's a really strange feeling. And I remember this story when my father passed years ago, and then my mother about 6 years later. And we were in Florida, and we packed the kids up, and we're rushing off to back to Chicago. And I get on the plane, and I sit down, and I turn to my kids, and I'm like, I know how I feel. I'm Batman. My parents are dead. Right? It was that quote.
Yeah.
My parents
Yeah.
are dead.
Yeah.
And my oldest laughed, and my youngest like burst out crying.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But it's a feeling when like you don't have parents anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a stage that you go through. But anyway, so what is it you're going to do in that second half of life? And it's a great time to rediscover who you are. Right? I
Right.
got back into riding motorcycles. I didn't ride when with the kids, but I got back into that and rediscovered who I am and what I wanted to do with the second half of my career. And more importantly, what I had learned through my career is what I don't want to do anymore. I had a whole list of no's, and that led me to what I wanted to do. And I'm exceedingly happy in the stuff that I'm doing now. So,
Well, our priorities shift, and that's okay. Lean into that. I remember years ago, this is like I'm in my late 20s, and somebody said to me, I can't wait to see you come into your own power. I didn't know what the fuck that meant because at the time I was like, what are you talking about? I'm me. I'm strong. I'm whatever. I'm doing all these things. And I can't wait to see you come into your own like power. And it wasn't until, somewhere in the mid 40s that I realized I'm in it now. Like this is my personal power right now. Like this is when I feel successful, accomplished. I'm settled in life and I feel really good about it. And I'm looking forward to the next, 30, 40 years of my life continuing in the same track and being of service to others and making money doing that and
mhm,
saving money and looking at retirement and looking at the things we want to do and feeling really comfortable and in a strong relationship. And I'm like, now I get it. I've come into
mhm,
my own power, like my own personal power. And it took that period of time of experiences and failures and learning and successes and adapting to finally get here. And so a lot of people, if you really focus on it, realize that now 45, 55, I'm in my personal power right now and embrace
Hmm.
that, man.
Hmm. Definitely, for sure. The other thing that gets interesting as you get to be this age is friendships, right?
Yeah.
So when you're younger, your friendships develop naturally. I mean, your kids, friends, parents, and neighborhood, and you develop organically these friendships, and kind of that starts to go away. And I
Mm.
talk to a lot of men that are in this stage of their life that are really lonely, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they may be in relationships or maybe they're divorcing. There's a lot of divorce that's happening. As soon as the kids leave, a lot of divorce happening. But and when divorce happens, you lose half your friend group. Half goes
Hmm.
with the one person and half goes with the other, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But loneliness develops when you get to be this age, and we're all good Gen Xers now at this age, and we're too proud to we have a lot of pride, so we don't ask for help. But
We do.
loneliness is a
Right.
real thing. And how do you
Yeah.
make friends at 50? You know,
Right. Yeah.
what does that look like? How do you do that even? So
Right.
people
What
are
do you go out to the bar, go play golf and talk to people, I guess people at work, maybe, yeah. It's
yeah,
a challenge.
yeah, for sure.
Well, because your priorities have shifted now. I mean, your priorities before for, whatever, better part of 20 years, were something totally different. Maybe that was family and career,
Hmm.
and now that you didn't have time for, maintaining really strong, close friendships because you were just, didn't know whether you were coming or going. And now
Hmm.
as things settle down and priorities shift, and once again, quality over quantity.
Hmm.
We still don't have the time necessarily because of our other priorities to, have like 100 different friends and
Hmm.
going out. I mean, we're not going, we can't like just recover from going out every night, like,
Right. Yeah,
um,
I know. You get to remember back in the day, you went out at 10 o'clock at night. That's when that's when you got ready and went out. Now, by 10 o'clock, I'm like, let's wind this thing up, man. I gotta go.
right, right. So,
Um,
it's okay if a close friendship looks like now where, you text each other the wordle and have lunch from time to time and
right.
maybe do a podcast together.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I have evidence that that works well.
Yeah. Hmm.
Right.
So we've reached the stage of our development, and it's okay. Pros and cons. And
Hmm.
if you can relate to it, we'd love to hear your take. We'd love to hear your experience with it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that Brett, you and I serve that don't feel like they're in their personal power because of a whole host of different reasons. They didn't do the things they wanted to do. They don't feel successful in their career. Maybe drugs and alcohol took the front seat for them, and they're just really unhappy with themselves. And
Hmm.
we are working diligently to try to help them uh,
Hmm.
get to a place where they finally feel accomplished. And maybe that's switching careers. Maybe that's going back to school. Maybe that's just making amends to people that they have harmed. Maybe it's recalibrating their life and deciding on who they want to be and then taking steps to become that. It's never too late.
Hmm. Yeah, redefine who you are, who you want to be. Particularly men, if you ask, we talk about the 30-second elevator speech, and most people will, in the first sentence, will describe their career. I'm a this, I'm a social worker, I'm a therapist, I'm a
Yeah,
whatever. So a lot of people define who they are by what they do professionally.
right.
And as we get older, that takes more of a backseat in our lives. And people are like, well, if I'm not defining myself by my career, what am I defining myself by?
Yeah,
That's the key. What are you defining yourself by?
yeah. My sort of overarching theme of my life has been to be of service,
Mm,
maybe caretaker, maybe a helper. And so I've seen over the course of my life, regardless of my actual career, I've always gravitated towards being that for others.
mm,
I just happened to, the past 20 plus years, 25 years, been in a field in mental health where I have been giving back and helping and being of service to. And I'm realizing that that's always going to be there. That's always going to continue. Not now, right now, I'm private practice therapist, and that's going to continue for a period of time. But even after that, or even if something changes or the robots take over or what have you, like I'm still going to be of service to others. That's still my archetype. That's still my
right.
like that what gives me purpose and meaning in my life. And so I think if you are struggling with your life and you're in that midlife crisis, maybe focusing on purpose and meaning. What does that look like for you? What are things that have been meaningful to you over the course of your life? And maybe we can expand upon that and get you into a place or doing things that will give you a sense of purpose.
Hmm.
So important.
Absolutely. Funny story. Well, I hate when people say that. When they say, "I got a funny story for you," and then if I don't find it funny, I'm like, "That was just such a setup. Like you lobbed it in there, and okay, that's a set." So I'm open with people when they ask me. I don't volunteer it. When people say, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in mental health. I'm a therapist. I do whatever." And we always get the, "Oh, really?" And then they usually dump, whatever their issue is or their
Right.
experience or their whatever. And sometimes it's not always the most pleasant experience about it. Anyway.
Right.
So, the place I hang out occasionally, it's people know what I do. And I had this woman who I know just accost me like, "You therapists or blah, blah, blah. And you whatever." She told me about her horrible experience with somebody in our profession, or a theme anyway. So
Yeah.
I turned to my group and I'm like, if anybody asks what I do, I am not in mental health. I am in propane and propane related accessories. So that's how I introduce myself sometimes. "Oh, what do you do?" "I'm in propane and propane related accessories."
I'm a latex salesman.
I'm
Well,
in
you,
paint.
you know what is funny, and I know that you can relate to this. It really doesn't matter because apparently you and I are putting out that energy. And so even if you do say you're in propane, like people are going to still tell you their problems
Right?
because that's who you are, and that's just palpable.
Isn't it so interesting? Like, and people don't know who you are, and it's like tattooed on your forehead. It's like, "I'm a
Right.
therapist. Tell me everything."
Yeah. Yep.
And strangers will just walk up and just dump all this stuff on you. And, my son is in medical school, and he decided to go to psychiatry just because people will tell him things,
Yeah.
people open up, and so he has that tattoo as well. So
Mhm.
he's cursed, Tom. Cursed.
All right, more power to you, Nick. Like, get out there and get it. Ever since I was 14, that's been my experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I hear you.
always will be. I've leaned into it. I've leaned into it. Oh, no worries.
Mhm.
However, it can be draining.
Mm.
There's such a thing as compassion fatigue. So I have to and have been closely monitoring that, and having a friend who's a therapist is helpful regarding that. And then doing other things for myself that don't involve therapy or holding space for, people, engaging in hobbies and fun things and reading and, like relationship and, like focusing on those things so that it's not all just being of service to others because it's got to be balanced.
Yeah. So, when we get together, it's usually once a week. It's like we start the conversation. Hey, how's it going? Good, good. Hey, get this shit.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Mhm.
Not gonna believe this one.
Yep. I mean, you remember when we worked out, like there was many sessions where we just drank coffee and, like
Right.
had pure consultation, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
guess we should put these
Walk me
weights
off the
back
ledge
in.
on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Uh, all right. Well, getting older, it's not always fun. Um, it can be difficult. There's a lot of different changes that happen in your life, your body, the way you think, money, is different. Your outlook on life is different. Your responsibilities. So things change, but it's okay. It can be good. So what
Yep.
is it that you want to do with that? This is a different stage. And, people like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, listen, you've made it through very difficult times in your life. You've
Right.
managed up through these 40, 50 years. So what makes you think you're not going to do it in the future? Why
Exactly.
have you lost confidence in your ability to push through, persevere, and go forward?
You've survived 100% of all those things.
Yeah, right. You got the experience. You got a leg up on everybody else.
Yeah.
So buck up, Lil Rue. Pull that confidence out of your back pocket and push forward, my man.
Yeah, man. Well said. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. And you have questions, you have comments, please send them in. Questions at therapyunzip.com.
All right. Well, great to see you, Tom. Thanks for your time.
Same. Great to see you. And we hope you guys, we're recording this on Halloween. Woo! So
Boo, scary.
have some candy and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Be
I
safe.
cannot wait until I do this every year, Tom. I buy a bag of candy because the kids are gonna come, and then I just like munch and munch and munch, and as I walk by the bowl, and it's just happens to go right into my mouth, and then Halloween's over. If there's anything left, it's going in the garbage because I can't
Right.
eat another.
It's
I'm
got
done.
it's got to. It's got to
I'm,
go in the garbage. I've been
I'm
doing the
done.
same thing.
Yeah.
And we don't lose weight as quickly as we once did.
Oh my gosh, no. Remember you eat four salads and you drop 10 pounds? Yeah, it don't happen
Yeah.
like that anymore.
Don't happen that way.
I just pooped 10 times. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Ooh, man, that's
It's
intense.
a lot of
So,
fiber.
that's a lot of fiber.
Talk about getting older. Oh boy.
Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for listening. We hope you
Uh,
enjoyed. And we'll see you soon.